darlings, how's it going? My name is Craig. Welcome to another top 5 video. This one isn't going to be very funny because, well, not that my videos are usually funny anyway, but this is going to be a top 5 that I'm going to be quite passionate about, but I will do my absolute best to keep it as short as I can and just kind of get straight to the point with every single thing on this list. Today I'm going to be doing a list of my personal top 5 rules you need to follow in order to be a good duelist. Now, if you already consider yourself a good duelist and you don't think you need any assistance, that's fine. Video's not really going to be for you. But if you struggle and you constantly lose against people and you don't quite know why, maybe you just came back into the game and people keep telling you these things like, oh, you have to stick to this amount of cards in your deck, or you have to, you know, only play these types of cards, and oh, these cards in your deck aren't very good, and you just can't really quite understand how to become better, I'm going to give you the 5 basic rules, in my personal opinion, that you need to follow in order to become a good duelist. So, without further ado, let's get started. Accept your losses and learn from them. Yes, most people understand this and, you know, it's not an issue, but quite a lot of competitive players I still see doing this wrong, and I see a lot of people who are more casual also doing this wrong. I don't care if you've won Worlds 16 fucking times in a row and you haven't been defeated in 15 million years or some shit. You do not deserve to win. You will lose. You can't win all the time. And the sooner you come to accepting that and you can learn from your losses, the better. Don't cheat in order to win because you feel like you deserve to. And also, this falls under the same category, don't hate decks because the player that you're playing against who's playing that deck is arrogant or annoying. Don't get annoyed at losing that game because the player annoys you. Just kind of accept it, move on. Maybe try not to duel that person again if they irritate you that much, but don't hate the deck. You need to pay attention just in case you could have done something better, spot your own misplays, maybe see something in your deck you need to change. You need to accept your losses so that you can learn from them. It's a very important but basic rule, hence why it's coming in at number 5. Coming in at number 4, you have to test against competent opponents. Now, if you have a lot of friends that play casually, and you also play casually, but maybe you want to try to, you know, get a little bit ahead of them, you want to try to test against people that are going to be better than them. Alright? Maybe your friends aren't too interested in becoming a little bit more competitive. Maybe they're fine playing at a very, very, very casual level, but you want to step up a little bit. You need to test against different people, alright? More competitive players, players that are better than you and are very competent at understanding the current game, the current formats. Not necessarily super ultra meta, but people who are more in tune with the current game and can give you more of a challenge. You know, maybe your friends play very casual rogue decks, like you might have a friend that plays desk bots and you have another friend that plays super heavy samurais, right? Fine decks, don't get me wrong. I mean, Super Heavy's still quite lackluster at the moment, but I mean, they can do some cool shit. And Desk Bots is still pretty good at OTKing, and they have some neat little combos, but definitely not the best of decks to give you the ultimate challenge. So I recommend maybe trying to, you know, go on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro and duel against a bunch of random people. Find people who play higher tier decks, or decks that you haven't faced before, you know, so you get better challenges. But you need to play against people who are competent and know what they're doing. People who play casually, I find, tend not to run into certain scenarios, so they don't quite know the rules particularly deep. They know, you know, everything that they need to know, but they don't run into too many scenarios that are going to challenge their knowledge on the rules, and even if they do, it might not be very often. They might not look it up or study it enough to know how it's genuinely supposed to play out. Whens and ifs and mandatories and optional effects and what can miss timing there. You know, it's a very basic example, but yeah, you need to play against competent opponents. So that is my number 4, playing against competent opponents. Probably a bad name for that rule. Probably should change that, but I've already kind of recorded that part now and I don't want to change it. But competent doesn't necessarily mean they have to play super high meta decks, but it more so means people who really, really know what they're doing. Coming in at number 3, stick to 40 cards. No more, no less, obviously, because 40 is the minimum. You can't go lower than that. But you need to stick to 40 cards. Now, the reason I put this at number 3 and not higher, which I would like to, is because as time is progressing, there are more and more exceptions because of certain cards. Cards like Pot of Desires, cards like Cards of Demise, cards like Lawn Mowing Next Door, or The Grass is Always Tastier on the Other Side. I think it's going to be called in the TCG when that does eventually hit. But as time goes on, people in the competitive scene are slowly bumping up just a little bit, but only occasionally. It's not many decks are doing that. But anyway, my point is, until you become a very good player, you may not step over 40 cards, in my opinion. In my opinion, you can't earn that privilege, I guess you could say. It sounds a little bit elitist, but you need to stick to 40 so that you can learn what consistency means, so that you can learn why you have 40 cards, so that you can learn how to build your deck. Building decks is an entirely different thing, but sticking to 40 cards really does help you decide how to build a deck, what strategy to focus on, what the deck is all about, and what it means, and all the little combos in the deck. Going above that generally tends to water down what the deck you're trying to play can truly do consistently. So in my opinion, sticking to 40 cards is one of the most important rules you have to follow. As I said, there are some exceptions nowadays, but until you become incredibly good at the game, you may not have that privilege to step over 40 cards. You are not the exception. I'm saying that to all of you right now who are watching this because you want to become better duelists. You are not the exception until you earn that. So stick to 40. It's very important, trust me. I wish I had someone to tell me this shit when I was a scrub. It took me way too long to take my decks down to 40 cards, and I saw an immediate change of just ridiculous consistency. So please stick to 40 cards at all times. You need to ask your opponent questions. Ask your opponent if they play a card, you don't know what it does, ask them what that card does. They will tell you. They kind of have to. It's public knowledge. It's right there. They kind of have to tell you what it does. But read it if you need to. You're allowed to say, hey, can I pick up your card and read it? They go, yeah, sure. And then you can pick it up and read it. Know what your opponent's playing. You need to care about what your opponent is playing and what they're doing just as much as what you are playing and what you need to do. You have to care about your opponent as equally as you care about yourself. This also includes studying, absolutely studying. If you're having to go up against a certain deck quite a lot because either your friends are playing it or it's just the current deck that a lot of people at your locals are playing, you need to study that deck, alright? Don't just learn about it when you're there. Go home, hop online, do some research, read what all the cards do, maybe look at some deck profiles so you can see some common cards that are usually run in the deck. Maybe play the deck on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro so you can understand the combos of the deck, how it works, maybe when to stop it during the combos if you struggle with that. Ask questions to your opponent, but study as well. That's kind of a sub-point, because asking your opponent questions in the middle of a game, I think, is just a little bit more important than studying. Studying is just as important, but I think asking your opponent questions was a better thing to start with in order to become a better duelist. Just ask your opponent questions. Don't be the guy who goes, oh, I don't care what your cards do. I know what I want to do on my turn. I don't care what you do on your turn. In the moment, in the game, while the duel's going on, ask them questions. It is incredibly important. I can't stress that enough. Coming in at number 1 is something that I still struggle with and cannot get over to this day. Remove all of your boundaries in every way, shape, and form. Just anything that is restricting you, get rid of it. Trust me, it is not worth it. I'm going to give you an example, and this is something that has just plagued me and haunted me forever. I refuse, outright refuse, to run Norden in any of my in-real life decks. On Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, I do run it in some, but in real life, you will not catch me dead with a Norden in my deck, because I have some kind of, not necessarily inner hatred, but inner disgust for that card. It doesn't seem right to me. Pay 1,000 with Instant Fusion and get either a free Synchro or rank 4. I do not like that. That rubs me in the wrong fucking way. Ugh. I can't just, thinking about me dueling, playing Instant Fusion and summoning Norden, no. No. Maybe if I summoned him the correct way, I could see it, but I can't imagine playing Instant Fusion to bring that fucker out and just get free plays for 1,000 life points. It doesn't seem right to me. And that personally makes me a worse duelist than I could be. Norden would benefit so many of my decks if I chose to play him. He would benefit so many of my decks in real life, and I just refuse to do it. And that is a boundary That is something holding me back as a duelist. That is something stopping me from being a better duelist. Do not let your hatred or disgust for certain cards or decks hold you back, alright? Try to embrace as much as you can about the current game. I see the current game from the bottom of my fucking heart as a beautiful thing. I absolutely love Yu-Gi-Oh! In the way it is. I'm an old school guy as well, or used to be, but I took a long break from Yu-Gi-Oh! I took an 8-year break from Yu-Gi-Oh! And you know what? Today's game is so much more rewarding and so much more beautiful than it ever was. There are a lot of hiccups, but you know what? I fucking have fun. Yes, there are a lot of broken fucking cards out there that can be abused, but in time, they will be moderated. We just have to be patient. I don't think you guys understand how good of a job... Konami does fuck up, don't get me wrong. But considering how fucking long the game has been going for, and how small the fucking ban list is, Konami has done an excellent job at moderating things. They have fucked up now and again. What was that? What was it? I don't know what that was. Oh, you don't just hate that? But they do mostly do right by the fans. There are a lot of questionable things that Konami has done with the ban list, but as time goes on, it makes sense. When Raigeki came off the list, I told a lot of friends, as soon as it came off, I was excited. Everyone flipped their shit. I had 2 friends who immediately said, oh, I feel like quitting the game now, I'm probably just gonna quit. What has Raigeki done? It's a good side card for a lot of decks. I do main it in some decks, but lately, I've been taking it out of a lot of decks because it's not a combo piece. It doesn't advance my game state immediately. Yes, it's an amazing card in certain decks that have a tough time dealing with established boards, but a lot of current meta decks don't really even play it. And you might think, well, that's because they're so broken, they don't need it. True, but Raigeki is a broken card as it is. Why not put that in and make the deck even more broken? Because it's not as bad as people think it is. And Konami saw that. I saw that too. Don't get me wrong, as soon as it came off the list, I'm sure a lot of other people did, but quite a lot of people, I think the majority of the player base went, oh, for fuck's sake, really, Raigeki? And then Dark Hole went up to 2. And again, a lot of people went, oh, for fuck's sake. But Konami has had the foresight to see past what we initially see. Now, a lot of players have had that foresight as well, but Konami, I don't think, has necessarily done anything drastically wrong, at least during my current Yu-Gi-Oh! Career. To me, they haven't really done anything massively bad. Like I said, 1 or 2 hiccups here and there. But the game, overall at the moment, is beautiful. You just need to take in everything you can to improve your decks, to counteract some of the decks you might not like, and to help raise your knowledge and skill level as a duelist and deck builder. If you ignore a lot of cards in the game, particularly bullshit like Pot of Desires, Cards of Demise, Norden, you're gonna just forget about those cards when you go to build certain decks. I forget about Norden a lot of the time because I don't run it. I just forget about it when I go to build certain decks. And then I'll go, wait, I should put Norden in here. Now, of course, I still haven't gone over that in real life, but on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro I'm more so referring to. And that is something I think every duelist needs to do. Not just the newbies, but every single duelist. Remove all of your boundaries. Don't be one of those people who host games on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro going, I won't duel against this, no this deck, no this card, no that, no this. Don't get me wrong, I mean, if you want to play like Go Control and you say, oh, Go Control format, no this, that's fine. And if you just get really bored of playing against the same deck over and over and over again, then sure, you can do that for a little while. But people who only or mostly host games that have a long list of shit you cannot run, I don't get it. You're restricting yourself from so many different experiences. Think about the satisfaction you can have when you beat a deck that you don't like. The first time I beat Yang Zings, I mean, I love the deck now, but the first time I beat Yang Zings, when they kicked my ass literally more than 50 times in a row, and I figured out their weakness, I was on top of the fucking world. There is nothing more satisfying than that, figuring out how to beat them. And it was so satisfying to teach myself how to beat something like that, something I hated at the time, and just feeling that satisfaction was amazing. Anyway guys, I've been rambling way too much. I really hope this helped out some of you. I hope following these rules will allow some of you to truly progress. If you just find yourself getting beat over and over and over again, you don't understand why, and you've just come back into the game, or you're a newcomer to the game, and you really want to know how to progress and become a good duelist, follow these rules, and you will see a noticeable difference right away. If you want to check out any of my other top 5s, you can do that here. I'll leave a little annotation thing. And if you want to check out my channel in general, link right here. If you want to subscribe, click the fucking subscribe button. I don't get why some people put like a link to subscribe in the description. That's fucking weird. There's a big subscribe button you can just press. Just press that. And as always, I appreciate every single one of you watching. Take care and duel on. I'll leave you with that again. Yes, I'm doing this joke again, but I'll leave you with this stuff. I'll take the stairs this time. The elevator was the last joke. I'll take the stairs now. I'm keeping the same joke. I still gotta turn the camera off. Bye now.